After all the journeying and exploring of different teachings, different pieces of wisdom from all sorts of corners from around the world, this episode may feel a little bit strange. It is a strange episode in a way because although the calendar may say January, it's kind of the beginning of a year, but it's also the end of a year because this episode actually marks the last episode of the first year of Exploring Brain and Mind. So there will be quite a bit of reflection. There will be a look towards what's going to happen next. Of course, I have to give a massive shout out to all the listeners, the followers, the subscribers to the podcast. And let's not forget those people who shared the podcast promo post on their timelines on whichever social media it may have been. Thank you ever so much for listening, following and subscribing on all the different platforms. But before I look back at the past year and look at what's going to happen in the next year of the podcast, let me make one important announcement. To anyone who has inquiries, who is interested in being a guest, please only send inquiries and emails to welcome@masteringyourmindmatters.com because I will keep the personal email for personal things, and anything to do with exploring brain and mind falls under Mastering Your Mind Matters, which is my venture that will this year mainly include the podcast Exploring Brain and Mind and possible public speaking opportunities, because public speaking is something that is very close to my heart and something that I am not afraid of. This first year of the podcast was an interesting mix, starting with initially a lot of really brain and brain function related topics. To all YouTube listeners, I have to add that the first 17 solo episodes still have to be put onto YouTube because I haven't done that yet. So you only know the interviews and then the solo episodes following the interviews or in between the interviews. But rest assured that all 17 previous solo episodes will be added to YouTube, and there will be promo posts coming out as well, so you will be informed. All the interviews stand out in their individual ways, and if you haven't listened to them yet, please give them a listen or watch them, because the interview ones for YouTube are actually with video. Then I got drawn into the topic to do with mind manipulation with cults, and there was a tickle at some point to start looking into religions as well, but that would kind of needed quite a bit more research. But very strangely, I felt when I did the cult episodes and the mind manipulation ones that there is some resemblance of mind manipulation with cults, with religions, with how politicians manipulate us into believing stuff, using psychological science, using media, and so on. So you get my drift where I'm going with this. So it was kind of some rabbit hole that started opening, and I did, at the side and not related to podcast work, watch quite a few videos about different religions, different sects and groups and groupings that kind of split off from various religions. I just think there is a lot of mind manipulation going on in religions as well. My personal opinion is that if you have faith, you don't need religion. You don't need a middleman or middlewoman or middle being to connect to the higher power you believe in. I know some religious hardliners won't like that one, but it is my personal opinion. And my personal opinion is my own. The whole cult and mind manipulation thing was also linked and got me into the observations with regards to how people are affected by crime and how it's not just the victims of crimes that feel the after effects, but also the victims' families and law enforcement, first responders, people in the legal field. I remember watching, as a true crime follower, watching this case and how affected the judge was at the end when he did the sentencing. There was quite a bit coming through that the case did affect him in some way. It came through the way he spoke, how he delivered the sentencing, how he delivered addressing the victim and victim's family. And I also thought of the people when they're working in forensics and they have to look at horrendous images of, for example, back to that case that involved children being killed and buried in some sort of plastic wrapping and duct taped, and the other girl was burnt. I haven't seen the pictures. I didn't watch the whole case, but I just think it must have been absolutely horrendous for people to watch this, both when they were working on the case as well as when they were in court, kind of reliving the thing, watching the images as part of the evidence process. And I didn't include people in the media either. I wonder how they are affected on a mental health level when they have to read, look at information to do with cases of serious crimes. And I'm very tempted to drift off here into something. Yeah, serious crimes. Okay, yeah, that fits actually. Something I notice. I mainly notice it from the States, but I'm sure it's not just in the States that this happens a lot. I notice a lot of news items, court cases, investigations about parents disposing of their children. You don't just go and kill them. You don't just go and take them away from maybe other relatives who would want to look after them or take them into their care. I mean, it's unbelievable what's going on there. Every day, the latest was a woman adopting her 4 kids. 3 of them she doesn't even have custody of. She abducted the kids and took them to Europe. And there's an international search for them now, that they get located and hopefully the kids being found safe and well. And that case linked again with some mind manipulation by some religion or cult or whatever it was about end times coming. And it's not the only one. There's quite a few of that kind going. But apart from all this stuff and more scary stuff that some people might find not very pleasant to listen to, especially the mind manipulation one, they are not very pleasant to listen to, but they are important to listen to because you need to know what is going on and how you are made to believe stuff that isn't actually true. And some of the most interesting stuff of the year was the exploration of all the different pieces of teachings and wisdoms from different corners of the world. I don't know who else of my listeners here noticed that there are some commonalities, because a lot of these different ancient wisdoms and teachings refer to people sticking together, people having or building community, love to the land, the importance of looking after the land, stewardship of the land for the land, compassion, looking inward, mindfulness, even though other corners of the world might not have called it mindfulness, but it was all very, very similar. So these episodes were rather interesting and got me to look into some areas of the world that I had not researched much. So what will be happening in the next year of Exploring Brain and Mind? Well, life has caused me to do a detour, and I have to work on a big group project in the next 6 months. This means that I have decided to either go into a hiatus of 6 months while still promoting episodes of Exploring Brain and Mind and putting posts out on some social media channels. But I am actually hoping that I will get to 1 episode a month in the next 6 months. And there is scope for interviews, that I could record interviews again. But I can only record those Monday to Friday between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. They're never longer than an hour anyway. Or on a Saturday or Sunday from around, let's say, 12 till 5 o'clock. So there are certain time restraints, not because of the group project alone, because I have to work as well. But one thing's clear, that the podcast will not be shut down. The podcast will be kept going. It will just change a bit, and I do hope to get more interviews, either closely or very loosely connected to Exploring Brain and Mind, just as the other interviews were that I did before. I might also add some book tips. So I've just finished the first book of the year, which was Ant Middleton's Military Mindset. And even though it said military in it, all the lessons are very, very applicable to life in general as well. So a fantastic book to read or to listen to on Audible or other outlets. A big thank you once again to all subscribers, followers, listeners, and those of you who shared episodes on their own timelines on social platforms to spread the word. And I hope you will continue following and subscribing and listening, even though there might be only monthly episodes for at least the next 6 months. Revisit the old episodes, revisit the interviews. And if you are following, watching or listening on YouTube, watch out for the first 17 episodes appearing on YouTube over time throughout those next 6 months. I will also keep eyes and ears open for more new interesting research to do with brain and mind. As I say, loosely connected or closely connected, and add that in when I put out the next few episodes. That brings me to the end of today's episode. I'm not going to make it too long, but would like to repeat again the importance of sending emails only to welcome@masteringyourmindmatters.com, not to my personal email address. Very, very important. And once again, thank you for listening, subscribing, following on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube. I'll be back again soon.